Once upon a time there lived a young, brave noblewoman. Her name was Anastasia. She was a tall, intimidating woman with brown curly hair, sapphire blue eyes, and a beautiful face. She had lost her mother and her father in a terrible murder, and even though she longed for revenge, Anastasia knew such terrible sin wouldn't be forgiven. Anastasia woke up in her dimly lit bedroom and slipped out of her queen-sized bed. The sky was still dark, but it was no surprise to the young woman. She hardly ever got a few hours of sleep since that terrible incident. Anastasia put on a sapphire blue dress that made her eyes stand out. Then she walked through the huge manor she now lived alone in. Anastasia went to the kitchen and made herself a cup of coffee before she checked around, even though she knew she was alone in the manor. After that, Anastasia pushed the cabinet to the side and got in the secret door. Anastasia walked through the dark halls with a candle in her pale hand. She made it to a big room. It was lit with candles and it was like a kind of library. In the middle of the room there was a big oak table, and on the table laid many books in ancient languages. Anastasia walked over to the table with a deep sigh. The magic is getting weaker, she muttered worriedly under her breath, and ran her hands over the runes on the books. Then she took her shining ruby necklace off. It was her biggest secret because the necklace was a gift from her mother, who was a witch. For over 1,000 years, the necklace, which was a source of magical power, was passed from mother to daughter and it helped them turn their emotions to magic. But since her parents' death, Anastasia felt nothing. I have to find a way and keep the magic alive, she said with a serious tone. I have to live, she added. This time her tone was more vulnerable, almost scared. But she couldn't let the magic die, and it was her destiny to live so the magic could thrive and be passed to the next generations after her. Anastasia decided to leave her shell for the first time in many years. She got out of her secret library with a few magic books in her hands and went to her bedroom, packed up some of her clothes and the books she brought. Then Anastasia went to the stable that connected to the backyard and opened the door to see her huge black horse. The horse's name was Storm. Anastasia had named him that when she was a child because it was the fastest horse she had ever seen. Well, hello there, dear, Anastasia said. The love and adoration in her tone was evident as she approached the gorgeous black horse. Storm puffed quietly as Anastasia caressed his nose. Then she put his saddle on, and then she locked the doors of her house, got on a horse, and decided to just get out of the town. She wanted to see where her heart would take her. Anastasia rode her horse in bright sunlight and ignored the looks of people who were surprised to see her go somewhere else other than the local bazaar. Storm galloped fastly through the forest without breaking a sweat. The horse moved with an effortless grace. For weeks, Anastasia traveled through the towns and villages. She searched the people's eyes to find something other than greed. She failed every single time. It was her 18th day on her mission to find someone that could make her feel something other than disappointment. The most powerful emotions were fear and love. Anastasia searched for them. As storm moved swiftly in the night, the moon led the way for them. But the horse suddenly stopped, sensing something in the forest. Anastasia tried to coax him to keep moving, but the horse didn't budge. So Anastasia got off Storm and took a blade out of her bag, held it tightly in her hand in case she needed to defend herself. She heard growling and some muffled noises. She moved through the bushes and saw 7 wolves surrounding a small lamb that belted in anguish non-stop. The mother sheep laid on the hot dirt ground. It was covered in blood and it was lifeless. The wolves hadn't noticed her, and Anastasia could leave if she wanted to, but she felt something. It was strong and made blood rush to her veins as her heart started to beat against her ribcage like a hammer. Then she got out of the bushes. Leave it alone! She yelled angrily to the wolves that started to surround her and growl at her. For the first time in many long years of nothing but grief and pain, Anastasia unleashed her magic and fired a flame ball to a wolf. The other wolves got scared and ran into the woods scaredly. The small lamb hesitantly approached Anastasia. I will not hurt you, Anastasia said. I will protect you, she added, and reached out to pet the trembling animal. Anastasia felt a warmth in her heart. It was unconditional love. And in that moment, Anastasia decided to help the orphan kids and baby animals without none to protect them, so she could feel. She donated all of her wealth to charities and animal shelters. Anastasia also adopted a little girl and taught her to use the magic for good. And for thousands of years, the unconditional love Anastasia felt for the small lamb spread all over the world. The end.